Hello, I'm Donald Leggett, and welcome to the latest London South East CEO interview. I'm joined today by Werner Klingenberg, CEO at Goldplat, the AIM-listed gold recovery services company, and it's headquartered in South Africa. Goldplat recently updated the market on the receivables from the sale of the Kilimapesa gold mine in Kenya, and it subsequently announced a substantial share buyback from minority shareholders. We will be discussing both these events. Welcome, Werner. Thanks very much indeed for joining us on London South East.
Thank you, Donald. It's nice to join you again.
Oh, it's fantastic. You've been very busy.
Yes, Donald. I think yes, we had a few good corporate transactions and obviously momentum in terms of the sale of Kilimapesa. So we're definitely quite encouraged and excited.
Okay, before we get to all those exciting things, can I start by asking you to describe what the Goldplat gold recovery business looks like currently and what gold recovery services actually are for those uninitiated?
Well, Donald, with the sale of Kilimapesa and the share repurchase completed now, I mean, essentially we are a gold recovery business and the group now owns 100% of the operations in West Africa, located in Ghana, and 90% in South Africa. Now, if we talk about gold recovery services, we're basically a gold industrial operation focused on sourcing byproduct material from mines in West Africa, South Africa, as well as South America, and then processing and recovering the last bit of gold and other metals contained in that material.
Okay, and on to Kilimapesa. So Kilimapesa is a producing gold mine in Kenya, which you've been selling to Mayflower over the past while. You've been waiting for Papillon to complete a reverse takeover of Mayflower Gold and be readmitted to trading on the London Stock Exchange. It's all a little bit complex. A date for that has now been announced. So if you could, in fairly simple terms, tell us what it all means.
Well, I think, what we've announced was that Papillon had their prospectus approved and published that recently, and that is a key step towards them completing their relisting and obviously the reverse takeover. And once that is completed, we expect around the 23rd of August. There will be about $450,000 payable to Goldplat PLC, and then the remainder of the consideration of 1.5 million will then be payable in shares in Papillon at that point in time.
And why is that a good deal for Goldplat?
Well, I think, Donald, it probably completes a strategy we've embarked on for the last 2 years, whereby we looked at exiting mining and exploration, and that will then limit future capital requirements. Mining is always quite capital intensive, and rather than focusing on our gold recovery business, which has always been cash generative, and then obviously focusing on distributing that to shareholders going forward.
So it's a very useful thing for the core business because you no longer have to allocate capital to gold mining. Instead, you use it to focus on the gold recovery side of things.
Yes, that's correct, Donald. And I think, the point I'm trying to make is that although we obviously will now relook at recovery and opportunities in terms of growth, I think the business is set up to look at how we can distribute value back to shareholders. We're generating cash on an annual basis. In the past, obviously, we looked at investing that into mining. Going forward, we would look at sharing through dividends or other means that back to shareholders.
So the second big thing for us to discuss is the share buyback program for minority shareholders. In essence, Goldplat will own 90.63% of its trading subsidiary Goldplat Recovery, and Mr. Nsulaba 9.37% in future. So he owes just under 10%, and you own the rest, with just over 16% bought back. So talk us through all that, and how will the purchase be funded? It's quite an intriguing transaction.
Yeah. Well, Donald, I think, in essence, we were informed or approached by our minorities in South Africa, minorities of Goldplat Recovery, that they intended to sell their share. We looked at it and we made a decision and an offer to buy back around about 22.3%. And then on the back of that, we issued some shares back to Rillian, as you indicated, which is controlled by one of the directors, Mr. Sangens Luba. All of this will be funded by a £3 million loan from Nedbank. It's going to be denominated in South African rands and carry interest rates of prime plus 1.75%, effectively around 8.75%. And I think if I can talk to that maybe now, I mean, for us, this gave us the opportunity to obviously take a bigger stake in the subsidiary which traditionally been the most profitable, contributing about 2/3 of revenues and profits in the past to the group, and also to take control and a bigger interest of the intercompany loan that is outstanding to Goldplat Recovery, which is £4.5 million. All of that gives us the ability, as I hinted before, to actually look at distributing value back to the ultimate shareholders on top for Goldplat PLC. And then I think which is also important is that, I mean, in essence, by buying back, we're in control of who we decide the minorities to be. I think we've got a great partner in Aurelian to help us to grow the business further in South Africa. So I think this really puts us at a good space to grow and share value going forward.
So why did you feel this was a satisfactory outcome for Goldplat shareholders, essentially yourselves? Why was this good for the business?
Well, I think, Donald, I mean, as indicated, I mean, for me, we've obviously generated some value in the recent past. We had a great year in South Africa last year, generating £4.5 million of profits from Goldplat Recovery. And by buying back the shares, we're actually using some of that cash to increase value and increase the size of the business. And we're doing it in an area we already know. We're not venturing into something different. But I think the most important for me was the fact that we've taken control over the intercompany loan. We effectively own 90% of that now. And that gives us the position to really control the cash flows through the group and then to ultimately share that to shareholders.
You're in charge of your own destiny, you feel?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. What can you tell us about the dividend policy going forward? You've alluded to it a couple of times now. So what will that dividend policy actually be?
Well, I think, I mean, in the end, what we're indicating to shareholders is firstly our intent to share value back to them. I think as a minimum, we would like to share the net smelter royalty from the sale of Kilimapesa, which is 1% net smelter capped at $1.5 million as a minimum, and then look at sharing the profits from the recovery operations from Ghana and South Africa going forward.
So it gives shareholders a different reason for holding the share. You mean they're not just going to get capital growth; they're going to get
they're not just going to get capital growth. I think, I mean, if and they're going to get some value. If you look at, I mean, recent profitability numbers, we've probably been trading on a PE of 4 or 5. If we can start sharing some of that through dividends or share buyback, the investor will get a good return, I believe, from the shares going forward.
Great. Okay, my final question to you. What comes next in terms of news flow? Perhaps as far out as the next year, what comes next?
Well, Donald, we just finished our financial period for 2021 at the end of June. We're looking at giving an operational update within the next week or two. And obviously then hopefully completing and finalizing and getting the money on the Kilimapesa sale is probably going to be due in the next month or so.
So within the next week or two, you'll be in a position to tell us what's coming up.
Yes, exactly.
Werner, you've been a complete star. Thank you so much for speaking to us today from Johannesburg. If you'd like to see more interviews like this one, please subscribe to the London Southeast YouTube channel. We're also on Twitter. That's @London Southeast. Thanks for watching. And as I say these days, may all your investments be successful ones.